Welcome to the Daily Drop on Pro Ball Daily. I'm Mike.
And I'm Tara. And let me tell you, if you thought yesterday was wild, today just threw the entire playbook out the window. We've got upsets, monster performances, and some power rankings that are going to make you scratch your head harder than a cat with fleas.
Absolutely, Tara. We're talking about a college hoops team going 100% in March, a perfect month. Plus, an NBA team making a comeback that would make Lazarus blush, and an EPL power ranking that has me questioning everything I thought I knew about English football. This is not a drill, people.
No, it is not. So grab your coffee, buckle up, because we are diving headfirst into the madness. Let's kick things off with some NCAA men's basketball, where March has truly delivered its promise of pure chaos and Cinderella stories.
And speaking of Cinderella, or maybe just a team finding its stride at the absolute perfect moment, how about the St. John's Red Storm? Tara, the stat of the day for NCAAB says it all. St. John's went 100% in March 2026, dominating with an impressive plus 11.1 versus their season baseline, a perfect month.
Mike, I saw that and my jaw dropped. A perfect March? That's not just good. That's unprecedented for a team that, let's be honest, wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire consistently through the regular season. What clicked? Was it defense? Offensive efficiency? Did they just find a magical leprechaun under the basket?
It has to be a combination, right? To have that kind of bump, plus 11.1 above their baseline, suggests they were playing at an entirely different level. Maybe it was a coaching adjustment, maybe a key player finally got healthy, or perhaps the team chemistry just reached an absolute peak. Whatever it was, they bottled lightning in March. That's the kind of momentum you dream of carrying into the tournament.
Exactly. And when we look at the Power Index top 5, we've still got Arizona at number 1, George Mason surprising at number 2, Michigan, Duke, and UConn rounding it out. But that St. John's run, it makes you wonder if they're a dark horse now, even if they're not in the top 5 of the Power Index yet. They clearly figured something out.
Oh, absolutely. Forget the power index for a second. If St. John's can maintain even 70% of that March magic, they're a legitimate threat. But on the flip side, we've got some interesting trends with big names like Duke and Michigan. Both of their games are going under their average total 40% of the time.
That's a significant trend, isn't it? For Duke, their average total is 145 points, and Michigan's is 155. 40% under suggests either their defense is really stepping up, slowing the pace, or their offense is struggling to consistently hit those high marks. For Duke, I'd lean towards defensive grind, but for Michigan, it might be more about inconsistency on offense.
I agree. Duke has always prided itself on defense, even when they're not flashy. But 40% under? That indicates a real shift in game flow. If you're a bettor, you're looking at that and thinking, okay, these aren't the high-flying teams we sometimes expect. It changes the whole dynamic of how you approach their matchups.
It absolutely does. It implies a more deliberate, perhaps lower possession style of basketball. It's a fascinating contrast to the explosive St. John's story. From college hoops, let's jump over to the NBA, where we saw some outright demolitions last night and some seriously intriguing power index shifts.
Intriguing is an understatement, Tara. Let's start with the big one. The Timberwolves absolutely crushed the Mavericks, winning by 30 points, 124-94. That's our NBA stat of the day. Minnesota just steamrolled Dallas.
What a statement game from the Wolves. To put up 124 points while holding a potent Mavs offense to just 94, that's a full team effort. It suggests their defensive schemes were locked in and their offense was firing on all cylinders. Is this a sign that Minnesota is truly finding their late season form and looking like a real contender?
It has to be, right? Dallas has been hot and cold, but to get beaten by 30 like that is a wake-up call. It puts the entire Western Conference on notice. But while we're talking about awakenings, we have to discuss the Atlanta Hawks. Their trend data is pure whiplash. They went 55% in February, which was minus 18.5 versus their season baseline. Then, in March, they flipped the script completely, going 87% and a whopping plus 13.6 versus their season baseline.
Mike, that's not just a turnaround. That's a complete 180. What on earth happened in Atlanta? Did they have a team meeting that involved some kind of mystical chant, a coaching change, a trade deadline acquisition finally gelling? To swing from almost 20 points below their baseline to nearly 14 above it in a single month, that's coaching and player buy-in at its finest. They even took down the Celtics last night, 112-102.
It's got to be a combination of everything. They beat Boston, they've clearly found their rhythm. It could be health, it could be a simplified playbook, or just a few key players stepping up. Whatever it is, the Hawks are suddenly the team nobody wants to play. They're like a completely different organism than they were in February.
Absolutely. And then we look at the Power Index top 5 for the NBA. San Antonio Spurs at number 1, followed by Oakland City Thunder, New York Knicks, Charlotte Hornets, and Denver Nuggets. Mike, the Spurs at number 1? Is this a full-blown trust the process moment paying off, or a temporary surge in the algorithm?
I mean, you can never count out Pop, but the Spurs at number 1 in the Power Index is definitely a head-scratcher for me. They've been in a rebuilding phase, but if they're truly playing at a top-tier level consistent enough to grab that number 1 spot, then the league needs to pay attention. OKC at 2 makes sense. They're young and dynamic. Knicks and Nuggets were solid, but Charlotte at 4? That's another surprise.
It really is. The Hornets making the top 5 is unexpected, given their roster. It speaks to a strong team effort and potentially an undervalued roster. I mean, we've seen teams surprise before, but Spurs and Hornets in the top 5 suggests either the league is incredibly balanced right now, or there are some serious dark horses emerging as genuine threats.
Or the advanced metrics are seeing something the casual observer isn't quite picking up on yet. We also saw the Lakers beat the Wizards, Suns dismantle the Grizzlies, and the Heat take down the Sixers. High-scoring affairs, but the T-Wolves' 30-point win remains the most shocking. Let's switch gears and hit the ice with some NHL action, because we had some absolute goal fests.
Goal fests is right, Mike. Our NHL stat of the day comes from the Colorado Avalanche versus Calgary Flames game, where they combined for 11 goals in a wild 9-2 blowout. Colorado just absolutely exploded.
11 goals in one game, with 9 of them going to one team? That is a statement from the Avs. Their offense must have been humming. And speaking of high scoring, the Penguins put up 8 goals on the Islanders, winning 8-3. What is going on with these scoreboards? Are goalies on vacation?
It seems like it. Or the offensive lines are just clicking at an elite level. Colorado and Pittsburgh certainly put on a show. But it's not just about offense, it's about the power index too. The Carolina Hurricanes are still holding strong at number 1, followed by the Montreal Canadiens, New Jersey Devils, Edmonton Oilers, and then the Utah Mammoth at number 5. Mike, the Utah Mammoth? That's a new one in the top 5.
The Utah Mammoth. I love it. Talk about a team coming out of nowhere, or perhaps a new expansion team making an immediate impact. To crack the top 5 that quickly, they must be doing something right. It's always fun to see new blood in the rankings, shaking things up.
It certainly adds a layer of intrigue. Are they going to be a consistent contender, or is this an early season flash? We'll be watching them closely. But let's talk about some serious trend swings for a historic team, the Boston Bruins. They went 91% in January, which was plus 24.2 versus season baseline. Then in March, they plummeted to 54%, minus 10.4 versus season baseline. What happened there?
That is a roller coaster, Tara. To go from playing nearly 25 points above their average baseline to over 10 points below it in just 2 months, that's concerning. Is it injuries, a brutal schedule? Maybe they peaked too early? That kind of inconsistency, especially for a team with their pedigree, is a huge red flag moving forward.
Absolutely. It's a massive drop-off. You can't be a championship contender with that kind of volatility. On the other hand, the Buffalo Sabres went 83% in March, which is a solid plus 11.9 versus their season baseline. So while Boston is faltering, Buffalo might be quietly building some momentum. It's a tale of 2 New York teams almost.
And we saw other games. Toronto over Anaheim, Vegas over Vancouver, and San Jose just squeaking past St. Louis in a 5-4 thriller. So lots of offense to go around. From the ice, let's move to the diamond for some MLB action, because we had a 15-run showdown.
15 runs. That's a football score. Our MLB stat of the day highlights Corbin Carroll, who posted a 73.5 MLB rating in that wild game between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Detroit Tigers, which Arizona won 9-6. What an individual performance in a high-scoring affair.
Carroll must have been absolutely on fire, hitting everything in sight. A 73.5 MLB rating is an elite performance in a single game. It tells you he was a dominant force. And speaking of the Diamondbacks, their March trend is a bit worrying. They went 44%, which is minus 7.7 versus their season baseline. So despite that big win, they've been struggling overall.
That's a concern for the D-backs, showing some early season struggles. But then you have the Athletics, Mike. Everyone expected them to be at the bottom, but they went 63% in March, which is plus 7.5 versus their season baseline. Are the A's quietly defying expectations? Is this a genuine surprise story?
I am absolutely here for an A's Cinderella story. After all the turmoil, if they're playing 7.5 points above their baseline, that's huge. It might just be early season momentum, but if they keep this up, they're going to be a thorn in some serious sides. And then on the other end, the Boston Red Sox are really struggling, going 30% in March, minus 10.0 versus their season baseline. That's a tough start for a historic franchise.
It really is. A minus 10.0 baseline for the Red Sox is a difficult pill to swallow for their fans. It suggests some fundamental issues they need to address quickly. Looking at the power index, the Braves are clearly the cream of the crop at number 1, followed by the Guardians, Rangers, Dodgers, and Blue Jays. A lot of familiar names there, but the A's trend is the real standout for me.
No doubt. We also saw the Braves shut out the A's 4-0, the Rangers beat the Orioles 5-2, Cubs over the Angels 7-2, and the Reds blanked the Pirates 2-0. Shutouts, blowouts, and a lot of early season narratives unfolding. Let's briefly touch on La Liga, EPL, and MLS, where we had no games today, but those power index rankings still give us plenty to discuss.
Starting with La Liga, Barcelona remains dominant at number 1, followed by Real Madrid. No surprises there, but Getafe, Valencia, and Atletico Madrid round out the top 5. Getafe and Valencia ahead of Atletico is interesting, isn't it?
It is. Atletico Madrid usually has a stronger showing, so to see Getafe and Valencia slip in there suggests they're either having unexpectedly strong seasons or Atletico is underperforming slightly compared to their usual standards. It keeps the top half of La Liga very competitive.
Over in the EPL, this is where things get really spicy in the power index. Arsenal is at number 1, which is expected